What is good, fam? Thanks for tuning in. I haven't done a YouTube video in a while, and I feel like it's time to give you guys an update on things. I post a lot on Instagram, but I don't post anything on here just because, I don't know, I like Instagram a little bit more, and I feel like I interact with more of you guys, on that platform. But I feel like it's important to make some sort of long form video for you guys to get to know me a little bit better, and for me to get to know you guys a little bit better as well. For those of you who don't know me, I am Robert. I started posting content on Instagram, back in like December of last year, and I've grown my account to right around like 26,000-ish followers so far, in under a year, which is really exciting, really, really nice. I'm very happy about that. And I moved between the United States and Poland. I moved here to Poland last year, and I've kind of just been jumping around between the United States and here. I focus on usually startup and business content. I love building things from scratch, scaling them up, and kind of just have been doing that for the past, 10 years or so, since I was like in high school. So those are my passions. I love talking about those things. I love talking about business, startups, the future. I love comparing, countries. I just love all of those cool things that come with, business, startup, whatever it is. I'm very, very passionate about those things. And I do content on those things as well. I feel like for many of you guys who've been watching my Instagram, at least for a while, you guys have seen that I've kind of been traveling between Poland and the United States and kind of jumping between the two places. And I feel like I just need to update you guys on what exactly is going on and what exactly I'm trying to do now, at least on the professional side of my life. On my personal side of my life, I think that's still very complicated, but I'd definitely like to share a little bit more about that as things start to calm down a little bit on my side as well. But on the professional side of things, I definitely have seen and just feel very like in a interesting place, I feel like, in the world. There's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of noise happening, whether you are here in Europe or in the United States. At least in the United States, there's definitely a lot of noise in the tech space, a lot of noise in the politics space. I feel like everywhere, you put your head into, there's a bunch of noise happening. And at least for me, in the tech space, there's quite a bit of it. And since I was young, as far as I can remember, I've always had this passion of not necessarily following the crowd when it goes to trends or things that are happening. I'm always the type of person, and you can ask my friends from school as well, when there's debates and stuff like that, I always like to sit on the opposing side where where no one is going, right? Where you don't follow the crowd. I always like to navigate to the other side because I don't know, it's just something that just comes to me naturally. I love to see why people don't go to the, other place, what's on that side, why maybe people shift and try to go with the crowd. But that's always been me. I've always been the kind of person who just doesn't follow everyone and just goes their own way and figures something out. And in a way, I feel like that's what is happening. I feel like right now, I feel like all of us, in our 20s, our teens, or you're like 15, 16, whatever age you are, I feel like you have a very pivotal moment in your life where you have really cool technologies that are coming out and everyone is trying to kind of get a piece of it. And in a way, back home in the United States, at least for me, I've noticed this pattern where everyone who is, young, who's like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, are all starting to build things in public. They're trying to launch their own startups, their own businesses, whatever it is. I feel like people are starting to catch on to the system trend where, like, hey, if you want to be part of the system, you can be part of the system. But if you don't want to be part of the system, you can, build something on your own and not play by the system's rules. And I feel like that's, social media and all of these things have caused this, trend to, become bigger. So in a way, with that being said, everyone is moving and shifting into this, place in the world, I feel like, when it comes to tech, AI, or whatever it is that you want to call it. everyone is trying to get a piece of that in the United States, and I feel like everywhere across the world. But for me, I do see opportunity in many of these things. And while they are happening in the United States, I feel like over the course of the past, 2, 3 years, I've also been able to see other parts of the world, specifically in Poland, because I've, been here for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And being able to see these new perspectives on things, being able to see how people are, being able to see the way people live and so forth, I see a very big gap between the United States and what's happening there and what is happening in Europe and maybe other parts of the world. I strongly believe that the United States moves very quickly. It is very like innovation focused. It's a good market to be in when building a cool startup or a cool business or trying to launch a new idea. It's a very good place to be for that. And in a way, Europe kind of lags behind in those things and in many of those things as well, and the countries within Europe as well. But one thing I have definitely noticed is that while it does lag behind, eventually it's going to catch up. And this catch-up game, I feel like happened in the early 2000s when the internet came out. A bunch of companies launched in the United States, and then as time goes on, a bunch of those companies started popping up here in Europe as well. There was I can't remember the name of the guy. He was launching and copying ideas from the United States and bringing them here to Europe and launching them here because they were already proven to work in the United States. He just brought them here or they just brought them here and launched them, tailored it to the market they were launching in, and they became successful. And in a way, this trend is happening again with artificial intelligence and whatever it is that is happening in the United States. A lot of these new companies, a lot of these new trends, social media, building in public, all of these things are happening in the United States quite significantly. And then eventually what I believe is going to happen is Europe is going to catch up to those things. Now, this is probably going to be a little bit of a long video, but if you care about it, you can stay watching, I guess. But this is something I notice. And in a way, I feel like I've kind of proved this a little bit, at least with my content. Startup business content, very popular in the United States, a lot of noise around it. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are building in public. Every time I go on any For You page, you see someone building something in the United States. Now, the problem with that is there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people who are doing this, and it's hard for you to, stand out and get noticed. But in countries like Europe or other places in the world, it's a little bit easier because there's not really anyone doing these things. And if you are able to stand out in your vertical or in your niche within the country you're in, I think you have a really good possibility to actually become the foundation of what that content type or that area is going to look like at some point. And because we're moving on into this digital part of the world where everything is becoming more connected, more digital, and I honestly see that happening even more and more as time goes on. I mean, you literally have the next generation of teenagers coming up who've literally been living on their phones for the past 5, 6, 10 years. These kids are consuming content and they're probably going to be watching you. You are going to be the next person who everyone else is going to be watching. So you are in a way becoming a foundation for, the digital era of things as well for the younger generation out there. And this is very, I'd say, important because you can become that here in Europe where it's kind of still, making its way and it's still catching up. Whereas in the United States, it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit harder to filter through the noise. And I'm going to go back to my, not analogy, but thing that I did in school when I was younger. When my teacher would split us into two sections in a class, they would ask you the question, do you agree or disagree with the following, right? And then everyone in the class would move to yes, or everyone in the class would move to the no. Now, I didn't care what the question was. I would just simply always go to the place that had the least amount of people because that gave you two things. One, it gave you the ability to stand out from everyone else in the classroom. Literally everyone would be like, why is this guy moving? And it's you're different. you're standing out. You have opportunity to get your point across. If you move to the side of the classroom where everyone is at, the teachers are usually going to ask, one kid, hey, why are you standing here? Why are you standing with everyone else? And then your voice doesn't matter as much. You're not different. You're the same as everyone else. So moving to the other side is in a way good, right? Because you're speaking up, you are different than everyone else. And there's always going to be someone who you might be able to convince a little bit, like, hey, come to this side. I'm right, you might be wrong. And that is exactly what I feel like is happening right now in the world that we're living in with, tech, AI, whatever it is. I had the opportunity to go to San Francisco while I was in the United States. A lot of people are moving to San Francisco. A lot of the talent across the world is moving over there because it's honestly it's the AI boom. I mean, everyone is moving there trying to get a piece of the pie. But what I feel like is happening is everyone is moving there and no one is they're leaving these gaps in the market elsewhere in the world for someone to come in and take advantage of. And in a way, I'm using my classroom analogy as to what's happening right now. Instead of me moving to San Francisco, which I know is a place that has the resources that you need to actually become successful, what my plan is to do something a little bit of the opposite, right? Is to leverage the resources the United States has when it comes to fundraising and whatever it is, and then bring some of that capital back here to Europe to execute similar businesses that are already working in the United States when it comes to AI or whatever new piece of new tech that is happening, and just launching them here in Europe to, tailor to the market, tailor to the specific, customer that we're trying to sell to. So that's in a way what I am trying to do. That's in a way what I think I've been speaking about for the past year or so, of you can build something cool here in Europe as well, and you don't have to go to the United States to build something, cool and, trendy over there. Matter of fact, I feel like the formula is take the things that are working in the United States, the things that are actually, functioning when it comes to content distribution, virality, or whatever it is, and just bring them back here and tailor them to your market, tailor them to your country. And eventually, at some point, if you do this correctly and you launch a business that maybe is based on a business from the United States, that business that becomes maybe at some point a really large corporation in the United States might come and try to acquire your, model in the country that you just started, because that's the way kind of business operates in a way. So that's kind of what I am trying to do, as well as as I'm here, as I'm trying to understand things and so forth. So it is a little bit of a challenge. Obviously, it's not easy. It's very difficult. It's capital intensive. But that's what I am honestly betting on, the fact that is what is going to happen. And I've seen patterns in the past that prove in a way that is what is going to happen. So might as well give it a try. See how it works and so forth. The other thing I wanted to mention, which is a little bit of a challenge, is the mindset, the mentality, the whatever it is, the drive. Coming from someone who's lived in the United States, done startups for a couple of years now, worked with a bunch of really cool people. When you come here to Europe, it's a completely different mindset. Things move a little bit slower. People are not necessarily, wanting to take the risk. People are more trying to play it on the safe side. And in the United States, people don't give a damn crap about whatever it is that they're doing. People are ready to drop their whole lives, move to SF, and build whatever it is that they want to build. And here, that's not the case. Here, you have really talented people, you have really talented teams, you have really talented, high schoolers, probably prodigy kids going to school who probably won't drop out to pursue their dreams. But I feel a little bit different in a way. Since I started doing content, a lot of people have reached out to me and really told me that they want to pursue this, but there's something that maybe stops them in a way, and that I was able to help them, launch it or proceed with it, move forward with their idea and actually make it a reality. And I feel like that's maybe what we need a little bit more of here, that will fuel what I just talked about earlier. we need that hub, we need that mindset that needs to be placed in people's, heads since they're young, to be able to become this, entrepreneur, or this, visionary person willing to do whatever the heck they need to do to make their thing become a reality. And I feel like that's the only thing I feel like that we technically need here. I do feel, being here in Europe, it feels a little bit more old school. People still need to go to school. People still need to graduate to get a good, job and so forth. But in all honesty, if I am right about this, trend that is happening, eventually those things are not going to be necessary, because we're going to be moving in a more direction of like the way the United States is moving. Whereas, what matters most is your ability to distribute, your ability to show that you have the skills necessary, and it's not just a piece of paper that you show to your, employer, like, hey, I have the qualifications. And that's literally what is happening across the United States as well right now. New startups launching don't even give a crap about whether you are like, whether you went to Ivy League school or whatever it is. They care about whether or not you can, talk to people and like, do social media content or whatever it is, if you have a large following, or, and so forth. So this is stuff that is going to happen at some point here in Europe. And I feel like right now is the key moment to start building something, to start establishing something here, in order for 3 to 5 years from now, be able to be that person who can actually influence things, who can make things easier for other people, and for you to actually have some visibility when it comes to your vertical or your niche that you're in. So that's kind of what I'm preaching. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying, what I'm trying to put out there. That's what my vision of things, are right now. So that's the plan professionally right now for me, is to build here in Europe and leverage the resources that are available in the United States. Bring them here and try to also help with the mindset, help with the drive, the passion, and whatever it is to make things a reality here, because that trend is going to happen here at some point. It's just a matter of time when, and as far as culture goes and whatever it is it's just going to catch up eventually. And I know that's definitely going to happen at some point. But yeah, that's what I'm going to yap to you guys about tonight. That's pretty much it. Literally a very long video, almost 20 minutes. But I just feel like I need to explain to you guys what I'm doing, what my vision is, what my passion is. Obviously still doing content all around this. I want to be here a little bit more long term, but I definitely am going to be jumping in between, Poland and the United States in the time being, spending some time here, spending some time there, trying to get a better understanding of things, catch on to trends quickly over there, bring them here, and kind of become that bridge between the two places, in order to either help you guys succeed in what venture or thing you guys are working on or launching, but also help the younger generation out there, because eventually those guys are going to be the ones who are going to be launching their things and so forth. And you already see this happening across Poland and some other parts of Europe. I see, kids posting content here in Poland, which is honestly insane to see, but I didn't see this 3 years ago or even a couple months ago. Like, people are starting to catch up to this thing, and it's just a matter of time before it actually all blows up. So really appreciate you guys watching. Again, means a lot to me, means the world to me. Appreciate each and every one of you guys, who followed me on Instagram, who've been following me since the very beginning. I get a lot of messages to meet with a bunch of you guys, and trust me, I would love to meet with every single one of you guys, but I don't have the time to meet with everyone. So if I don't reply to you, it's not me being mean. It's just like I'm trying to filter through everything as much as possible and do my best. But I do want to meet with every single one of you guys at some point in my life. So yeah, let's get at it. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Good night.